Ooh, what's up, y'all? I can barely even think straight, just dreading and grueling the slaving hours of work I gotta do over the weekend. And y'all know what I'm talking about, man. It's long hours, dangerous, illegal work. You don't know if you're coming out of there in one piece, and it's just difficult to focus in the moment when you're thinking about that shit ahead of time, and it just stops your movement. But anywho, enough with the complaints. No time for complaining, y'all. And I've learned in life that many people have short patience for complaints, and almost everybody despises someone who has a lot of excuses. You know what I'm saying? If you have a lot of excuses, people don't want to be around you. People don't want to hear it. And a lot of times people don't even care because everybody can make 1,000 excuses. Hell, it can even be your lover, your wife, your daughter. And after about 2-3 complaints, excuses, you'll be asking them to shut the flush up and woman up. So on and so forth. But anywho, this video is going to be about a quick spit about great and legendary trainers. All right. Now, this video was inspired by Perfected Chaos. Perfected Chaos hit me up. He said, man, you should do a video about great and legendary trainers. And bam, here it is. Now, Perfected Chaos into combat sports fans, or just people who study the physical arts, the YTBC. I'm not going to do this video justice, okay? This is I would say 75% off the top of the dome. I just did a quick look online, and I saw two that I left out of my mind that I was just going to spit on real quick. But I'm not going to do it justice. There's no in-depth research. We're just going to flow with it. Bam. So here we go. All right. Now, great trainers. When we think about great trainers, we think about, that old man in the corner. When you get nostalgic, you think about that old man in the corner of a gym. You think about, that gritty trainer, that old school dude, that dude that has a lot of good stories and is full of knowledge. We think about these great men, or at least when it comes to training others, you think about these great men that can whip any man into a champion. They can turn the sea fighter into a world-class fighter. We think about legendary trainers as great teachers who turn young boys into men. All right. Now, again, I'm not going to do this video justice, but off the top of the dome, when we think about great and legendary trainers, we think about Eddie Futch. All right. And most great and legendary trainers, y'all, usually have 2, 3, 4, 5, even more champions under their belt, under their tutelage. So Eddie Futch, Eddie Futch has trained Riddick Bowe. And I was reading something about Eddie Futch years ago. It was a crazy stat. Something like 3 out of the 5 fighters that beat Muhammad Ali, Eddie Futch trained them. So that says a lot about his game planning, his mind, and his ability to take different fighters with different styles and mold them into be able to beat the greatest heavyweight of that era, Muhammad Ali. Who else we think? We got Angelo Dundee, who's had many champions such as Ali and Willie Pastrano at light heavyweight. We think about Nacho Ignacio Beristain or Beristain. I know I'm mispronouncing his name. The great Nacho has trained Oscar De La Hoya, Juan Marquez. He's trained Vicente Saldivar. You think about great and legendary trainers, we think about the legendary Cus D'Amato, who's one of my favorites because of his philosophy and his extreme methods and because of his teaching. Cus D'Amato trained 2 great champions that we all know of, Floyd Patterson and Floyd Patterson, yeah, he's great. He's one of the youngest champions ever. Floyd Patterson and Iron Mike Tyson. When we think about great and legendary trainers, we think about Charlie Goldman, who Mick from Rocky was based off of. Charlie Goldman trained, he trained and taught Rocky Marciano. Dang, Lou Ambers, Terry McGovern. We think about great legendary trainers. We think about the late great Emmanuel Stewart, who trained what's my man from the 80s, man, with the Jerry Curl, Terrence Crawford, Thomas Hearns. We think about who else? Vladimir Klitschko, Lennox Lewis, the last undisputed heavyweight champion. And plus he has the great Crunk Jim. And there's also many great trainers, y'all, who've only had one great or one known champion up under their belt. But they're still great because that champion was so great. Such as, you got the late, this is also another one of my favorite trainers because of his extreme and great training methods. You got the great Chappy Blackburn, who's trained many fighters, but we all know him because he trained the late great legendary heavyweight champion Joe Louis. And we did a video about that earlier, and we was talking about some of his extreme methods that helped mold Joe Louis to have that long title reign, to have that great train of thought, to have that great puncher power, and so on and so forth. You see, George Gainford, he only had one great grand champion, but we all gonna know him because of this one great champion he had, and this great champion was the late great legendary Swedish Sugar Ray Robinson. You see what I'm saying? Now, a lot of these trainers were also deep. Well, I ain't gonna call them good boxers, but for some reason, when I think about great trainers, I really don't remember them being great boxers or great pugilists. But you did have some that were decent boxers, such as Chappy Blackburn. He fought in the era of the late 1800s, early 1900s, with the black champions and the separation of champions. Even though I would personally say the fighting was a little more harder back then because of the schedule and because of the politics. But nonetheless, he was a decent fighter. I don't know if he ever won any titles, but Chappy Blackburn was a decent fighter himself before becoming a great legendary trainer. Charlie Goldman was also a decent fighter before becoming a great and legendary trainer. And there's a ton more. I told y'all I wasn't going to do this justice. But when we think about great trainers, y'all, in theory, we think about them being father figures. We think about them, like B-Hop said, we think about them being great teachers, great coaches. All right? They're how can you say, we think about them being that guru on the top of the hill that everybody's climbing the mountain to try to get those jewels of wisdom. Now, question, do you need to have a great trainer to be a great fighter or a great champion? I would say no, because we see even nowadays we see dudes such as Andre Ward and I don't know Guillermo Rigondeaux's trainer, but if the fighter's already great, then really he's almost like he's automatically on the track to be a champion. You just got to have a halfway decent trainer just to lead him in that direction, to make sure his money don't get messed up, to make sure he stays focused. And I wish Adrian Broner had somebody like that and a few other fighters just to kind of nudge them back in that direction onto being very good or great. So you don't need a great coach because, now is the day of the age of information. You can go online. You can look up many training methods. You can look up the legendary training methods. You can read about them. You can hear the stories. But I will say that to implement those methods, you want to have someone who has experience. You want to have someone who's molded many a man into a champion to help guide you into those methods, to help show you how to do them and make them better. So great trainers, legendary trainers, do help make champions, and men who are already champions, on the flip side, don't have to have a great trainer, but it's like an extra boost. It's like a power up on a video game. All right. Now again, in theory, when we think about these legendary trainers, we think about old wise men who are full of knowledge, who have all types of tips and tricks, who tell those good stories, those good wild tales. We got all these type of crazy stories that you wouldn't believe. Well, they have in-depth instruction. So if you can imagine in your mind, you know, like Mick from Rocky, like Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman from $1 Million Baby, like what's my man that was snatching them bitches' eyes out and punching through wood, like Pai Mei from Kill Bill 2. Like the old Shaolin monk that's in one of the chambers in the temple. In theory, we think about these type of great coaches, great teachers, you know, gurus, father figures who are in theory legendary. But I guess that's enough ranting. Shoot, so just keep your training diligent, y'all. And while you're training and on your path to becoming a champion, seek out a great or legendary trainer. They're usually a little bit older. In theory, again, there's always young savants and young prodigies out there. And I didn't go into none of the modern day trainers, you know, such as Mayweather Senior or B Hop Nassim Richardson, and there's tons more. You know, what's the dude that trains Bam Bam Rios, Robert Garcia, I think. And, you know, there's tons of them. I just want to stick to, you know, the old school, the old, more legendary. Anywho, that's enough ranting and raving. Appreciate y'all listening. Shout out to you again, Perfected Chaos. And y'all enjoy your weekend. And don't let the work get you down. Just keep busting it down. And we'll catch you on the flip side. We love Bossy.